beautiful campfire. Now the rain's just about stopped, so I've achieved my goal of riding out the storm. I made shelter from the storm, cooked a fire, stayed dry, stayed warm, cooked dinner, had dinner, and now I can just enjoy the night. Hopefully it won't rain too much more, because rain does make it difficult, but that's what I wanted. I wanted a nice test to test my skills, which I have. There's my camp. There's my tarp cover on top. Even if it does rain more, I can lay down here if I want to sleep. Potentially I could stay here the night, but I won't. I'll eventually head home. But at least I proved my point that I can survive. I wasn't expecting rain, but when the rain started, I set up my shelter, collected firewood. I've kept firewood dry under the shelter, and I've still got plenty of firewood here. That's all firewood here. It's all drying out too next to the fire. Some of it was quite damp. When I picked it up, it started to rain, so the firewood was damp. But near the fire, it's dried out. That's the idea. If you do start a fire, you need to collect as much wood as you can and stack it near the fire, not too close, otherwise the fire might spread. But if it's damp especially, to dry it out, stack it near the fire and just stoke the fire as the night goes on. Now I should have plenty of firewood to keep the fire going most of the night, and you can see how there's a big bed of embers here, which I'll now stoke up again. So I've pretty much conquered this situation. I've stayed dry, warm, and I've fed myself. The three main keys to survival: shelter to stay dry and warm, a fire to stay warm as well and to dry out, and a fire to cook. I had the means to cook with a stainless steel container. I had food and water. I can start a fire. I made shelter. I had a tarp. I had cordage, rope to tie it up with. I've got containers, a water bottle, stainless steel container to cook in, and plastic bags to lay on the ground as a ground sheet, and also to put firewood in to keep dry. I've got tools. I had the knives to cut wood and so forth. And as a backup, I've got a torch. So pretty much I've covered every base here, and this was a very good example of how to survive in the field, in the wilderness. If you're stuck, the weather's closed in, a storm's come in, and I've done everything. It was important that I had the gear in the first place. I had all the correct gear: shelter, fire starting, cooking, food and water, and tools. Those 5 things are what you need to survive. I had them all, and I've achieved my goal of staying dry, warm, and cooking, despite the rain. So tonight really was a perfect test, if you will, of my skills to survive. And that's basically what everyone has to do. If you're out in the field, you're stuck, you've got to eat and so forth. So as long as you've got the skills and you're prepared, that is really the key, to be prepared. And I was prepared. Not the best preparation, because as I said, this so-called tarp is crappy. It's too small. It broke in several places. There's holes where the water's coming through, because it's so thin and weak. It's basically a piece of garbage. I've got to buy a new tarp. But as long as you've got a good strong tarp, at least 9 by 9 or 10 by 10 feet or more, you can set yourself up cover, shelter. Adequate cover and shelter, I should say. Mine was just adequate, but had it been a big rainstorm, I could have been in trouble. If there was wind and rain, I could have been wetter. But luckily it was just really like a light sort of drizzle, But still, rain is rain. And I stay dry. Got the fire going, which I need to stoke up. It's just gone out a bit, but that'll kick into gear soon. There's nice smoke coming off that, which is a good sign. Smoke means the wood's just about, getting hotter and hotter. The hot gases are coming off, and it will ignite into flames shortly. Throw a few leaves on. So guys, that's it. Good demonstration of survival skills out here in the wilderness. Here we go. Here we go. Just like that, people. There we go. There we go. Yeah, baby. That's what it's all about. We are cooking with gas. Well, fire anyway. Just like that. Comes back to life. So don't be too discouraged if the flames die down. As long as you've got a nice bed of coals and you put wood on, and it's hot enough, they'll just ignite and the flames will keep going. And that's really the key to making fire. You can lay down, have a sleep, you might wake up, the fire's out, but as long as you've got nice hot coals still, you can coax it back in a fire. Or not necessarily hot coals, but some coals. If you had some coals that you can put small stuff onto and just start the fire again. Beautiful. I'm dry. My towel's dry. My gear's dry. It's still raining. You can hear the raindrops on the tarp. Just a few drops coming down, but it's not too much. Not too bad. But it was raining quite heavily earlier, so this shelter is just adequate to keep me dry and the fire dry. But as I said, it's too small and the rain's coming heavier now, so a bigger tarp would cover a nice bigger area and I'd have room to spread out, lay down and so forth. But at the moment it's pretty cramped. Most of the room's taken up by the fire, my fuel to keep it dry. Then I've just got a bit of space here to sit down or potentially lay down. I've got a plastic sheet here. What I'll do is just sit down again. That's my poking stick. Is my shemag, which I'll put around my neck. Shemags are great to for a bit of warmth and so on. If it's hot, it can keep the sun off your head. So that's basically the keys to survival. Shelter, fire, cooking, food and water, and tools and items you need to survive. I recommend a larger knife for big jobs, a smaller knife for finer work, a machete or an axe, or both if you can take them, a pruning saw, a foldable pruning saw to cut firewood, a multi-tool with pliers, a can opener, a third blade, a third backup blade, and some needles are recommended for repair work and first aid, and the 6 items you need to survive: containers, cordage,